Hi and welcome back. Today's mitzvah isn't really applicable nowadays, at least not according to Torah law, but it's particularly interesting because of a famous rabbinic institution that became a support so that this mitzvah would continue to be remembered. Let's take a look. Inside, Mitzvah 64. It is a positive commandment to cancel a loan in the year of Shemitah. That's every seventh year. As Scripture says, the sabbatical year. As Scripture says, every creditor shall release what he has lent his fellow. If a borrower repays him, the creditor, a loan over which the Shemitah year has passed, he is not to take it from him, but is rather to tell him, I released it. For Scripture says, and this is the manner of the release. If the borrower then says, nevertheless take it, he may accept it from him. By the law of the Torah, the release of money obligations is in effect only at the time when the law of the Jubilee year is in effect, which it is not currently. But it is a decree of the sages that the release of money obligations should be enforced also in the present time, so that the law of release should not be forgotten by jury. However, a pruzbul, otherwise known as a declaration in court after a loan is given that the Shemitah year is not to cancel it, is effective against the law of released money obligations at the present time, that this loan should not be canceled. It applies to both man and woman. Okay, there is a Torah commandment that in order not to leave people in a state of penury and permanent poverty, that any debts that they have come the seventh year, every Shemitah year, every seventh year sabbatical year, those debts were forgiven. This is a Torah law, but it only applies when you not only have every seventh year as a release year, as a Shemitah year, as a sabbatical year, but every 50th year you also have the Jubilee year. So when there's a Jubilee, you have to forgive loans every 7 years. Now, the rabbis didn't want that in the absence of the Jubilee, which we have now, where we don't have the Jubilee year. So in the absence of that, the rabbis wanted that this halacha should not be forgotten. And then all of a sudden, whenever the Jubilee starts again, they're going to start telling people to do something new. So rather, they said, keep it going as a rabbinic institution. However, the problem is that making lenders release their loans every 7 years isn't very good for the modern economic system, where long-term money borrowing is essential. Therefore, the rabbis came out with something known as a pruzbul. Hillel came out with something known as a pruzbul. A pruzbul is a document which states, I'm loaning you money, but the seventh year won't cancel it. So this way we know the law still exists, but there's an end run for it to allow for commerce to continue. It's a very practical accommodation that the rabbis made. Okay, next time we are going to venture into something that we're possibly less familiar with, although we'll try to find some modern applications. It is a positive commandment that an owner should allow a laborer to eat of what he is working at when it is something that grows from the ground. We'll talk about it next time. Bye.